what's going on? I am Gregg Sussman, joined today by Tom Vecchio of FanDuel, who's here to break down tonight's NBA slate. What's happening, Tom?
We've got an interesting 6 games and a bit of injury news to worry about.
There always seems to be a bit of injury news to worry about here on the slate. Back-to-backs abundant as well. So let's break it down here, and let's get into tonight's contest. And we begin at the point guard spot, where Luka Doncic is your top stud on the board, but he did play a ton of minutes last night. It is the second night of a back-to-back. As I mentioned, you nervous about Luka?
I'm not really nervous about Luka. I'm actually, having a question about Porzingis because he's been known to sit out on back-to-backs. We have the Mavs playing their third game in 4 days. So we kind of have two scenarios. If Porzingis is out, we certainly want plenty of Luka. I don't truly expect Luka to sit out. So we're just going to go under the assumption that he will be playing tonight. We do need final confirmation on this. We are recording this just after noon Eastern. And when Porzingis is out this season, we see Luka carrying a 39.9% usage rate, which is, of course, a team high, along with producing 1.59 FanDuel points per minute. We see him already over 20 field goal attempts per game, 9 or more three-pointers in 3 of his past 4 games. Plenty of upside. The 218 over-under versus Denver isn't amazing, but that 40% usage rate is really tough to find someone that matches it on this slate.
Luka Doncic, the top stud on the board as long as he plays. You got to be worried about Kristaps Porzingis, worried about the Mavericks. Like Tom said, recording this around noon Eastern time, which means there's a lot more lineup decisions, a lot more notes and practice reports to come. So make sure you stay tuned and locked in before you set your lineups for good. Another stud that should be available tonight, Tom, it's Trey Young of the Atlanta Hawks. Trey Young, always a threat for a 50-point game or a triple-double, something like that. Trey Young, got to be a lock on tonight's slate.
So we have a 232-point over-under for the Knicks and the Hawks tonight. It's tied for the highest on the slate, and it is by far one of the best, I would say, overall game environments. We always see the over-unders really dictate a lot of ownership when it comes to the NBA. I would say more so than any other sport. And he sits with a 35.2% usage rate now for the Hawks in this current starting 5, while the next player, John Collins, is sitting at 20%. So even though this is a pace down spot for Atlanta, that 35% usage rate combined with the overall 232-point over-under is what we want to be focusing in on. 1.29 FanDuel points per minute from Trey Young, all that three-point upside, pulling up from the logo as he seemingly does every game. We want to be trusting him in this spot, high usage rate and a high over-under.
The Atlanta Hawks always play incredibly fast, and that usage rate with Trey Young is always incredibly high. It's a really good spot for Trey Young on the Atlanta Hawks in a game tonight, which should have that high total, as you mentioned. So let's get Trey Young locked in our lineups. Up next, we move on to the Miami Heat and Bam Adebayo at the center position. Always one of these players that you want to put into your lineups and feel good about it because he's a nightly double-double threat. Why do you like Bam tonight?
Absolutely love Bam tonight. The Heat are one of the teams dealing with a ton of injuries. We have Tyler Hero, still questionable. Kendrick Nunn, questionable. Jimmy Butler, questionable. They're still without Myers Leonard. There's just so much going on with the Heat. And really, if we adjust for those players being off the court, Adebayo's usage rate really doesn't change too much, but his production actually jumps up to 1.41, which is the highest on the team. 211 over-under in this game isn't amazing. Against Charlotte, they are dead last in the league when it comes to pace. But we want to be trusting that the matchup is just so good for Adebayo. Attacking Charlotte at the center position is one of the things I always say to do. They are allowing the third most to centers, sitting at 55.9 FanDuel points per game. So we're taking extra production, not necessarily extra usage, and he's only $8,500 tonight.
Really cheap enough on FanDuel, and attacking the center spot makes a lot of sense. Bam Adebayo, he's not questionable tonight. Some of these other players, like you mentioned, these sharpshooters are. Bam Adebayo in a good spot for Miami. Moving on to some of your value players, because in order to get these studs in, you got to save a little bit of money. So the top value play on the board, it's Rashad Holmes. He's back for the Sacramento Kings. Screwed up my starts with Alex Len. I had Harry Giles last week. But with Rashad Holmes back and the price still low, time to take advantage.
Yeah, like you said, back in the lineup. He played 19 and 18 minutes in his first 2 games back, and those were on a back-to-back. So immediately back from injury and playing in 2 straight games, which is good to see. The Kings have had off for 2 days now, so hopefully we see the minutes increase. This game also has the 232-point over-under tied with the Hawks and the Knicks. This is a big pace-up spot for the Kings, going from 25th up to the Pelicans, who are sitting at 2nd. So hopefully we see the minutes increase. We have a good pace. We have a good over-under. And he's been producing at 1 FanDuel point per minute since returning from injury. So he's kind of checking all the boxes that we possibly want. And I combine with the fact that the Pelicans are 7th worst in the league against power forwards, allowing 46.2 FanDuel points per game. So 4,500, great price tag. Minutes should be on the rise and a great game environment overall.
Really strong game environment, like you said, and Rashad Holmes was a monster earlier this season. He was someone that we were putting in our lineups each and every night. Now the price lower than it was before, and let's take advantage here tonight. Get Rashad Holmes in your lineups. Another value play that's worth putting in there is Duncan Robinson. You mentioned before here, Tom, about the players that were questionable for the Miami Heat. Kendrick Nunn and Tyler Hero come to mind, which means Duncan Robinson should be in a position to do some damage.
Yeah, and his shooting streak right now is absolutely unbelievable. And whether Nunn is in, Tyler Hero's in, Jimmy Butler's in, we really don't see Duncan Robinson's usage rate change. He's not a super high usage player sitting at 17%. We do see his production jump up a little bit, but more importantly, he's on fire right now. Over his past 3 games, he has taken a total of 38 field goal attempts, 37 of which have been 3-pointers. We are getting 24, 23, and 27 real points out of him in these past 3 games. I don't know if there's many other players in the league that take like 97% of their field goal attempts are 3-pointers. We are getting immense scoring upside from him. If you look at Charlotte defensively, they're around league average or worse when it comes to 3-pointers allowed per game, 3-pointers percentage allowed per game. It really doesn't matter. So the usage rate stays the same regardless of these injuries, and we have a player who's absolutely on fire from 3-point range. You want all that upside when it comes to tournaments tonight.
Yeah, give us that upside. And like you said, he's not a high-usage player, but with these players out, the ball should be in his hands more. We know he's a sharp shooter. Let's see if he can get it going tonight for the Miami Heat. Like you said, it's a good spot for the Heat. Both Bam and Duncan Robinson on the radar tonight. One final player to speak about here, Tom, and that brings us to Brandon Knight, who has seen a resurgence with the Detroit Pistons. It's always tough figuring out which point guard is going to get the minutes and the high usage. Brandon Knight, when it's been him, he's been really good.
Yeah, recently the Pistons are a bit of a mess, right? We see Knight coming in at $4,900 tonight, and I just want to call it what it is. It's basically Knight and Christian Wood out there. Wood is clearly their best player, and Knight is seeing plenty of minutes with Derrick Rose still out, and kind of regardless of whoever they have on the court, Thon Maker, Svi Mykhailiuk, Langston Galloway, Tony Snell, it really doesn't matter. Wood and Knight are the best players. We know he's going to be playing minutes. He produces at 0.90 FanDuel points per minute, but he should be out there for 32, maybe 35 minutes. Should put up around 28 FanDuel points, which is under 1 FanDuel point per minute. But you got to remember, he's only $4,900 and has exceeding 5x value, based on that salary. So the Pistons are a bit of a mess, but we just want to take the minutes. We want to take the production. We want to take the consistency. It's a 211 over-under versus the 76ers, which isn't amazing, but we can find some other spots to attack.
Getting Brandon Knight in there will allow us to open up some more value and some more high-stakes players in our lineups here tonight. It is a mess in Detroit. It's been very, very frustrating, that backcourt with Jordan McRae and Bruce Brown and Brandon Knight, figuring out who is going to explode on a nightly basis. It's not easy, but tonight, we're begging a Brandon Knight, especially at under $5,000. That's going to do it for us here on the FanDuel Hurry Up. We appreciate the time, Tom. Good luck tonight.
Same to you. Take it easy.
Absolutely. Everybody, enjoy the games tonight. We'll see you back here tomorrow for another edition of the FanDuel Hurry Up.